Today we're looking at Towers of Mars.
Yeah, if you don't know about this one, then that's completely understandable. It's not one that really gets enough exposure, I don't think. Like a lot of the ones you cover on the show, they're more underrated conspiracies than ones that get huge exposure.
But we like to make sure we cover all our bases, so
Yeah, exactly.
let's bring you something new.
By the way, before we start today, today is only going to be half an hour as opposed to our normal hour slot. Just it's been quite busy time for both of us with Christmas and all that. And
Well, we still wanted to make sure we had
yeah.
something for you, so something's better than nothing.
I mean, we've got a decent back catalogue of episodes at the moment for the Conspiracy Crunch to go on YouTube at the moment.
We've been a bit slacking on that end. We apologise.
Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry about that.
Blame it all on Aaron, it's fine.
Yeah, today is the Towers of Mars we're looking at today.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to start or shall I go for it?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
So, as usual, we're going to start off with background information. So, Mars is a neighbouring planet of Earth in the solar system, obviously, as we all should know. And it is often referred to as the red planet due to its red surface colour. Throughout decades of culture, several writers, musicians and filmmakers have speculated the idea of there being life on Mars. War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells was released in 1898. David Bowie's The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and The Spiders from Mars came out in 1972. And the greatest film of all time, Mars Attacks, came out in 1996.
Greatest film ever.
It is
good.
such a good film. So recent exploration of the red planet has proved that it is completely dormant now due to a thinning atmosphere which prevents liquid water from forming on its surface. However, there is some evidence that suggests there was life on Mars thousands of years ago. Mars was once much more inhabitable than it is today, as evidence collected by NASA probes suggests that it once had more sturdy atmosphere and liquid surface water. NASA still generally rejects the idea that there was once advanced and complex life forms living on Mars, but the glimmer of hope offered by their missions has sparked several conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening is familiar with the search for life on Mars. It's like we said, it's been a big consistent factor of pop culture for decades now, even centuries.
Yeah,
But
because who wouldn't want to think there's something else out there with us?
yeah, I
And
mean,
it's
it's
so
sort
close.
of, we've tried to look around the entire universe looking for extraterrestrial life, and it turns out it could be right there on our doorstep after all this time. Today's topic covers the Towers of Mars, which only became a main area of discussion in 2016, so it's quite a recent thing, which it will make sense if you've not heard about it through that. Through images taken by orbiting probes and satellite images available of the planet on Google Mars, conspiracy theorists believe that they have found 3 artificially constructed, mile-high towers on the planet's surface. That's 3 individual towers that are a mile high each, not one 3-mile tower. Just thought I'd clarify that. These towers can be found in the Terra Meridiani region of the planet and are organised in a perfect straight line. The images were originally circulated on YouTube with a CGI 3D interpretation of what the towers look like from the ground. Conspiracy theorists argue that the towers are too similar and too well aligned for them to have been caused by a natural phenomenon, leading to the explanation that these towers are evidence of an extinct ancient alien civilization that lived on Mars.
So as usual, we're going to start off with the big questions. We have 3 for you guys today. So what other evidence is there of past life on Mars?
Yeah, because I mean, there's no point us going straight for this is evidence if there's nothing else to stop it, to back it up even.
We have to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there a natural explanation for these towers?
Yeah, of course. We always look at the other possibilities outside of a conspiracy.
Because we like to cover all our bases here.
Exactly.
And what other unusual phenomena have been sighted on Mars? So we couldn't talk about one without briefly mentioning others at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I was going to do a full episode on the face of Mars, but that's been quite debunked now. We'll touch on it. We'll mention it a little later on, but that's it really. Evidence of potential life on Mars. This is quite a big bit. So we'll go through that now. But yeah, evidence of potential life on Mars. Although there are countless conspiracies about life on Mars and its origins as well as its demise, evidence to support these claims is quite thin on the ground. Yeah, however, here are a few theories that have enough going for them to be worth mentioning. First of all, there is a distinct evidence to suggest that there was water on Mars. This helps the claims of life on the planet massively because, as we all know, water is an essential ingredient for sustaining life. We know there was water on Mars thousands, perhaps even millions of years ago, because probes sent to the planet have found traces of bacteria in the surface soil which are only present in water. On top of this, there is a huge amount of ice on the surface of Mars and even traces of liquid vapour still present in the planet's thinning atmosphere. However, NASA scientists have said that the former presence of water on the planet does not necessarily prove that there was once life there. After analysing the water traces, some NASA scientists believe that the water would have been too salty and acidic to support life. But this is where that little bit gets a bit more interesting. Recent discoveries of acidophilic bacteria on Earth counter the idea that life cannot survive in highly acidic environments. Most acidophilic bacteria can survive in pH levels as low as 1. So to give you an idea, pH neutral is 7.
Like very acidic.
Yeah, so most acidophilic bacteria can survive in pH levels of 1, but some have been found in much harsher conditions. In fact, one particular breed of bacteria called ferroplasma was found growing in Iron Mountain, California, in an acidic draining system with a pH condition of 0.
That's insane.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, this shows us that life can in fact survive in highly acidic conditions, and the high acidity of Martian waters would not necessarily stop life from existing in it.
So, furthering evidence that there was life on Mars is the even more recent discovery of underground saltwater lakes in the Martian South Pole. In September 2020, so literally this year, scientists confirmed that they had identified not 1, not 2, but 3 liquid saltwater lakes under the surface of Mars. Following 134 observations of the planet in a 7-year window by the European Space Agency, science were able to confirm the existence of the lakes, despite conventional science stating the existence of water on Mars was essentially impossible in its current condition. Jonathan O'Callaghan said the following for Nature.com when talking about the discovery of lakes. I quote, "But scientists have long thought that there could be water trapped under Mars' surface, perhaps a remnant of when the planet once had seas and lakes billions of years ago. If such reservoirs exist, they could be potential habitats for Martian life. On Earth, life is able to survive in subglacial lakes in places such as Antarctica." So, end quote. So it isn't too left field to consider the possibility that there was not just life on Mars millions of years ago, but there could even be life on Mars to this very day.
Yeah, that is really exciting. How could you not be excited by that? If we discovered there's life on Mars, that would be the single biggest moment in human history, I think.
We're not alone in the universe.
Yeah, it would prove the existence of aliens. That would have to be the biggest moment in human history, wouldn't it?
And then it's going to turn into Doctor Who episodes.
Yeah, as if 2020 couldn't get any crazier. In September, we found out there's water on Mars.
Dun dun dun.
I really don't know what New Year's going to bring. What do you reckon for 2021? Alien invasion?
Nah, literally New Year's Eve, the Tower of Sauron, the Eye of Sauron's going to appear.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, to be honest, that would not surprise me, given everything that's happened this year.
But anyway, we're getting a bit off track.
Yeah, it's a little fun fact for you now. In the year 1900, an American scientist called Edward Charles Pickering was so convinced that there was life on Mars, he tried to persuade the governor of Texas to build a network of giant mirrors in the state so they could communicate with life forms on the red planet. Pickering also claimed to receive a telegram from Mars in 1901, but was no mad scientist. Even though he had some quite left field theories and conspiracies, he is one of the most celebrated astronomers of the 1890s, and he has a crater on Mars named after him, which I think is quite sweet.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to actually talk about the towers and specifically look into the natural explanations for them. Obviously, underground saltwater bacteria can't build 3 separate mile-high towers on the surface of Mars. So where could they have come from? Conspiracy theorist Scott C. Waring said this when talking about the towers. "There is a whole planet full of buildings and artifacts to be discovered on Mars. They all look like they were made well because none of them are destroyed. They would be perfect for setting up a human Mars base at, well, if they're empty, of course."
Yeah, this Scott C. Waring comes up on the show quite a lot, actually.
He does. I've noticed he's popped up on a few.
Yeah, Yeah, he's one of the more predominant alien conspiracists in the world right now. I'm sure if you've ever looked into alien conspiracies yourself, it's a name that may have cropped up along the way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah, Scott, if you're listening, I can only apologise for that comment. But
I joke. I
Yeah.
jest. It's all in good humour.
He seems, I don't know, I've never met him, but he's definitely got some interesting theories. Anyway, I digress. It turns out there could be a natural explanation for these towers after all. Although it is disputed by conspiracy theorists, well, obviously, everything's disputed by conspiracy theorists, to be honest.
No one can make up their minds.
No. NASA have undisputedly rejected the CGI 3D interpretation of the towers, saying that if they were seen from close up, they would look far less purposeful and artificial. NASA officially recognises the tower's existence, so we know the pictures aren't faked, but it is most likely a case of misidentification nonetheless. Mars is known to have extreme dust storms across its surface, and NASA say that these so-called structures, are just an accumulation of dust particles despite their size and alignment.
So, there are other examples of dust towers of Mars which are whipped up by storms, with some having reached 50 miles high in the past. Mars can suffer colossal global-wide dust storms roughly once a decade, and NASA argues that the towers of Mars are merely remnants in one of these storms. Research conducted by Nicholas Heavens even suggests that these dust towers were what caused Mars to lose its water, as the towers elevated water into the outer atmosphere due to their huge size, where the water particles were essentially ejected from the atmosphere altogether.
Yes, that's quite an interesting theory. Side note, Nicholas Heavens has got to be the best name we've had on the show.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a great one. It does make sense as to how that would cause Mars to lose its water, because obviously all of the particles being kicked up and pushed up towards the upper edges of the atmosphere, the gravity's a lot thinner up there and it can escape into space. Which is a similar reason why helium is not very common in Earth, because obviously helium particles are lighter than air's atmosphere, which means they're constantly escaping.
Although these dust towers keep on... this is just me making a little snippet. Even though they're some of the... it's making towers that are reaching 50 miles high, I don't think they'd be able to do it with such precision of size and alignment with 3 of them in a row. Straight in a row. It'd be near impossible.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, the likelihood of that. I mean, obviously, we've never got down to ground level to look at them. For all we know, there's no proof that they were all made at the same time. Which is the thing.
We don't have details, but just from what we have here, I don't think it's possible for it to be dust. I think it's something else.
Yeah, it's definite. Yeah, but like we said, we don't know for sure until we go down there. But it's I think if we study them and it turns out they're all the same age, that really strengthens the conspiracy for me. Whereas if it turns out one of them's 1 million years old, another one's 730,000 years old or whatever, then that shows that they were made they were formed naturally over a bigger space of time. Sort of the same way you get rocks with little divot holes in them where water keeps dripping on them. That happens over time, and then the depth of it depends on the time frame.
This is true.
Yeah, but
True
yeah,
indeed.
like I said, it's all we'll come on to that though. NASA also argues that seeing them as towers is a case of apophenia, also known as pareidolia. I've got a knack for finding the words on this, haven't I?
Yeah, you pick the most confusing words.
Apophenia is the mind's tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things when we see shapes in clouds, for example, or if you see a person's face in a slice of toast or something. Until NASA can send a rover to the Terra Meridiani region on Mars to get a close-up look at these so-called towers, all knowledge regarding them is just speculation. Until then, there is still a slim possibility that they are in fact alien structures hiding in plain sight, although if they are, there would potentially be a lot more attention given to them and more efforts to get to them. I mean, you say that, there's a lot of evidence of NASA covering up alien encounters, isn't there?
There is.
So,
Cough, cough, Area 51.
yeah, pretty much. That's the bit on Towers of Mars. We've got another little thing of unusual things that are seen on Mars that we're going to cover now.
Yes, and I shall start that off.
Yeah.
So even though these towers probably aren't anything out of the ordinary, I think otherwise. There are still some unexplained sightings from the Red Planet. The majority of these unusual sightings were captured by rovers sent to the planet by various space agencies. Although most unusual sightings, such as the face of Mars, can be put down to misidentification and the previously mentioned concept of apophenia, there are still a few images and even videos that have caught the interest of conspiracy theorists. One of which is this picture. We'll put a link. We'll probably either put it on the YouTube page. Yeah, we'll put it on the video for you guys.
Yeah.
Allegedly showing a crab-like creature living on the surface of Mars.
But yeah,
there is a zoom in, and it does look like there is a little crab on, like a big crab actually, on one of the
huge,
rock surfaces. Yeah.
I reckon that's probably, if it is a crab, that's at least the size of an average person.
Even though this is quite a low-resolution photo, it was enough to spark people's imagination and them speculating about the possibility of life on Mars. This is much like most other cases, is just the human brain trying to find familiar images and patterns and things, even though there is nothing significant to be seen. And as we've already discussed, it is impossible for life forms to exist on the surface of Mars in its current condition, but there is an extremely slim possibility of life existing in Mars's underground salt lakes.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy to think that this whole time there's been like giant spider-like crabs living on Mars in plain sight. But like I said, like the atmosphere on Mars is far too thin to have air particles that are close enough together to sustain life. I don't think it could be done, especially with a life form that big.
This is true.
I'm open to the idea that there is still life on Mars, but if we find life on Mars, it's not going to be like the giant 40-foot tall robotic spiders shooting laser beams at us like we had in War of the Worlds. It's going to be like tiny little single cell bodies living in those saltwater lakes.
I mean, if you think about it, that's how we started off.
Yeah, exactly. But
imagine what it could turn into.
Yeah,
we could have another like human-esque civilization, and we could get something crazier out that we couldn't imagine in our wildest sci-fi dreams.
Yeah, and that's also life itself. And finding that tiny little single cell body on Mars could be the beginning of something huge, because that would be evidence that life can be supported on other planets. Even though it is the simplest possible form of life we can get, it is still life. It still proves that life is out there on planets other than Earth, which would be enormous.
Pretty insane if you think about it.
Yeah, but I feel like that would be one of those things that's sort of, to us, if we discovered it, it'd be huge, and then in like 1,000 years time where we've got like a spaceport of an alien race, we'll look back on it going like, I can't believe they got so huge over a bacteria in a lake. I am open to the idea that there is life in those lakes on Mars.
It would be cool to find that out.
It would be great, wouldn't it? And the Titan as well, the Saturn's moon. There's methane lakes on that planet, on that moon, pardon me. Yeah, and they think that there is a possibility for small-celled organisms living in there as well.
That would be so cool.
It would be massive, wouldn't it?
It really would be massive.
It would be the biggest news in human history.
Well, if you think about it, there's nowhere where the only like us and our planet are the only life forms out in the universe.
Oh,
there is nowhere in hell.
Yeah, definitely. There's absolute, like, statistically, the universe is unimaginably huge.
And ever expanding.
Yeah, so if you think, like, the amount of stars there are in the universe... I think I've said this on the show before, but I went to a science convention once, and the guy who did it said if you hold your thumbnail up to the sky, the size of your thumbnail represents 1,000 galaxies, just like the Milky Way. And just that...
Damn.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea on just how massive the universe is.
That's insane.
It is insane. You think, even with that, even if only like 0.0001% of planets and moons out there have life on them, that is still potentially hundreds of thousands of places where life could exist. It is like, it's more or less statistically impossible that we are the only life in the universe.
There's no way we're not.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But one final little note for you on this. Other claims of seeing crab-like creatures on Mars have been made over the years, especially by ufologists. Here he is again, Scott C. Waring.
Oh boy.
He claims to have spotted multiple creatures on Mars from rover photographs shared on NASA's website.
We've got another photo here, and it does look like there's something there. It could just be like debris that's on the planet, but from what we can see, it does look a little bit like a crab creature.
Yeah, I mean, it's
There's so much speculating you can do from all the photos and videos and stuff they post on the website. It's like, it's the conspiracy theorists like dream, like all the stuff they put on there.
Yeah, there's so much on there, but it's this Scott Waring guy, he's found like dozens, maybe even hundreds of photos with stuff on. There's one video in particular of a rover drilling in to the rock, and he claims if you look closely, then there's a picture of a small crab-like creature eating another creature, like eating another smaller insect-like creature.
Leave him alone. He's just trying to have his dinner.
But you think do you think maybe that's why they don't want to talk about it more? Would the news of that be too huge for humanity to digest at the moment?
Honestly, I think the way the world is going right now, either we're just going to be like, thought so, and we'll move on, or the world will just end in panic.
Yeah, I feel like it'll either be, because you had that thing with the 2 UFO videos that were confirmed by the Pentagon earlier this year, no one really gave it much acknowledgement.
But then again, there's a lot of people claiming to have seen UFOs. That's not that out of the blue to have that confirmed. Because if I throw something at you right now and you don't realise what it is until you catch it, that's an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lot more commonplace to see UFOs than it is to actually hear it, like, confirmed life.
I mean, a kite could be a UFO.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of theories about crabs on Mars and stuff like that. I would do a full episode on it, but we've pretty much covered the basics of it already on this episode.
We have.
Yeah, so unless we sort of start delving into like the really obscure stuff, then.
I mean, maybe at some point we might do another episode and cover some more.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite fun.
Mars is fascinating.
It truly is, but also kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
I still don't like Mars because of that Doctor Who episode where water starts spewing out of everyone's mouths. That's just slightly nightmare fuel.
Yeah, that was
So if there's life on Mars, it can stay there. I'm good, thank you.
No, we know people can survive on Mars. I saw Matt Damon do it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, Hollywood's real.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's it for today.
It is indeed.
Really? Yeah, like
Short
I said,
one.
Yeah, today's a lot shorter, but we still wanted to do an episode for you.
Short but sweet.
Yeah, definitely. As far as actual individual conspiracies go, this is quite a long segment.
Yeah, we've done quite well on this one.
Yeah. 28 minutes we're at now?
Audio says 26.
Oh, okay. But yeah, most of our conspiracies since we started season 2 have been sort of like 20 to 25, so this one's still slightly longer. Do you know, technically, on all of YouTube, we have the longest feature that's ever been done on a Rahon Codex.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, because the longest one on there before we did that was 4 minutes. So we've absolutely smashed it, because I think our Rahon Codex one was like 25.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're a record holder.
Whoop.
Yeah, that's the end of today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, and others. Thank you very much for tuning in.
I have been Abigail Murphy.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Chandler.
And boy.
Yeah, bye. See you next week.